welcome to the first ever FightPost podcast. My name is Kieran Cobley and I'll be your host this evening. I'm joined by my co-host Dan McConnell and Ben Jessop. How are we doing, lads?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good, thank you.
Yes, brilliant, mate. Can't wait to get started. I'm excited to be on the first ever FightPost podcast, so let's get it rolling.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming up, not just because I've had a few technical difficulties this evening, but so the way this podcast will work is there'll be a podcast each week, and it'll alternate between ourselves, the MMA team, and our boxing team. So next week, the boxing lads will be taking their turn to host the show. Right, lads, let's just get into it and start with the news. So, lads, let's start from with Cage Warriors. They've made 3 huge fights announcements just in the past 2 days. Sorenbach versus Dean Truman for the featherweight title, with Sorenbach vacating the lightweight title. Nicholas Dolby versus Alex Lahore for an interim welterweight title. And London card will see James Webb versus Thomas Robertson for the middleweight title. What do we think of these fights, lads?
Right, what a great start to 2019. 3 title fights all within the month. Cage Warriors seem to be doing everything they can to really kick the year off. All 3 fights are fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I can't wait for it. It's looking at Sorenbach giving out or vacating his interim title excites me against Dean Truman. I mean, it's all 3 fights are brilliant.
Yeah, I think when everyone looks at the name Sorenbach, they know who he last beat for the title, so it sort of brings that added, sort of media attention to him, and the fact that he's going down in weight opens obviously the lightweight class to a lot of other fighters. It just shows as well that they're trying to sort of be in line with the UFC and have some big title fights as well as having that sort of that entry to the UFC is where Cage Warriors has that relationship with him. But yeah, especially Alex Lahore and Nicholas Dalby for the interim welterweight title is massive. I was at actually Bama's last ever event in Dublin. Alex Lahore headlined. It's nice to see him there and how much he's progressed over this past year, and to know he's fighting for an interim welterweight title now. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, obviously they are big fights. I've got to ask you, lads, about Sorenbach going down weight. Do you think this is a move for a money move to see him classed as a double weight champ, or is it, maybe him looking to his future, looking at the UFC featherweight rankings and seeing that as an easy way to success?
I think he's probably going for the UFC. If I'm entirely honest, I mean, like Dan said, it's a way through, and like you say, the featherweight perhaps would be an easier way to success for him. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, being a double champ is nothing to be frowned upon, but I think everyone's aiming for the UFC.
Yeah, I think this at the end of the day, I think when you become a double weight champ in any promotion, having 1 title is impressive, but having 2, the focus sort of is on you right there. You look at Carl Moore, who was the light heavyweight title Cage Warriors, the light heavyweight champion. He went for the heavyweight title, and there was talk of him making the next step onto the UFC after that. He obviously got beat, but he's gone to Bellator now, so it just shows you that the ability to be a 2-weight world champion. It's just gives you a boost above the rest. Like as we know, Conor McGregor, who was Cage Warriors first 2-weight world champion. So yeah, I don't know if it's a step back in terms of will it be tough on him the weight cut. He obviously thinks Sorenbach thinks he can make it. So why not? Why not?
Yeah. Another thing that's sort of interesting to me in this is we've seen these fights announced for the London card and the card in Copenhagen, but those aren't till end of February, start of March sort of time. And we've not seen anything announced for Liverpool. We've only seen 3 fights officially made for the Liverpool card. Is that starting to worry you a bit, lads?
It's concerning me. It confuses me how they're announcing three title fights, but nothing for Liverpool. I mean, I'm struggling to see the motivation behind it. It does concern me. I'm not quite sure what they're going to do. I'm hoping it comes out as big. I think there's still a big fan base.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
A massive fan base in Liverpool. It's just I don't think they have a draw if Paddy Pimblett can't fight. It just doesn't seem like they have a headline topper.
Yeah.
So it seems they're all geared towards the obviously the Soren back Dean Truman card. You know, they're not looking past. They should be starting the year by focusing on what they have in front of them. But it seems like they're going to Copenhagen. They want a massive card. They want the best fights, and Liverpool's going to sort of pay the price for that.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, yeah, it's very interesting as well that we've seen them. Obviously, they've got no Pimble available because he's out with an injury. McCann's been drawn up to the UFC, and now Lee Chadwick has been. He's also gone to Bellator. He's going to be fighting Bellator Newcastle. So they've lost all three of those draws, and also there's a telling sign here that they've gone to a smaller venue in Liverpool. It's going to be at some sort of exhibition centre rather than the Echo Arena. Do you think that's shows the signs that maybe they're not expecting fantastic sales here?
Yeah, it must be. It must be. There's no other reason for it. I mean, like you say, if they've lost all their main draws, perhaps there's nothing there left at the minute, at least. Anyway, nothing left for them there as such. I mean, why not focus on the events where you can really pull in a crowd?
Yeah, I think as you were saying off air, Kieran, there's 3 catchweights fights on the card as well, which is a bit disconcerting.
2 fights, one at Liverpool as well.
Yeah, it's a bit disconcerting. It's like why give someone a catchweight fight if you're not wanting to give them a ranking and if they win the fight? Liverpool just seems a bit of a mess. And you wouldn't think that if they've pumped a lot into Liverpool recently, but maybe they go to Liverpool too much, where they've sort of realised we actually don't have enough talent anymore to boost it on Liverpool as of yet. But yeah, it's concerning.
Yeah, so let's move on to the next news story. So the news story is I like to call Till He or Won't He? So Darren Till has still not been formally announced yet for the UFC London card. Do you think it's going to be on that card, lad, or is it a case of we'll see another big English draw on the card instead?
I don't think he will. I think Darren Till was very smart in drawing his own media attention. I've not seen anything apart from Darren Till himself, really. I mean, isn't it obvious that he's going to try and draw attention from that card? I don't know. I'm not entirely sure he's going to be on it, if I'm honest. But even Edwards is a good fight for him. I'm hoping he is. I'm not entirely confident he's going to be, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't know why Darren Till. I know why his name is put on in the pot, but I think for Darren Till, he knows his capabilities. He knows the UFC backing behind him. I don't think they will want him to fight on Liverpool card. I think, especially fighting, a fellow Englishman, Leon Edwards. I don't know why that makes sense apart from rankings. Maybe Jorge Masvidal is something that would make more sense, but no, I think Ben's spot on. He's just trying to bring a bit more media attention to himself, and it is rumours at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah. So like I said, Dan, Jorge Masvidal's been a name put into the mix here with Darren Till if he was to fight in London. We saw him sort of make a comment at Till about him probably not finding his own backyard. Do you think if Till is on the card, that the Masvidal fight is the fight we'll see?
Yes, I do. I think it's probably the better fight of the two. Darren Till, I'm not entirely sure he's worried about fighting it anywhere but his own backyard. But I think it's a great fight, and I think that if they are going to put him on the card, that's the one it will be.
Yeah, why not? Why not put him on the London card? They already had the Liverpool card. Put him on a huge London card, but like the last time they came to London, what was Verdum and Volkov was the main event. It doesn't seem like it doesn't seem like they're putting much local draws on that card apart from the undercard. The main event never seems to be that. It's somebody on the rise. Like was Leon Edwards? He was on the previous undercard before the Volkov and what do you call him? Yes. Was he? I think he was on the one before that, was he?
Yeah, I believe he was.
I'm almost sure, yeah.
Yeah, I believe he was.
And again, he's been sort of stuck in the mud in the welterweight division. He's on a nice win streak, and he's he's not really pushed on. So I don't know. I don't think Darren Till will be on the card. In all honesty,
No, me
can't see
either.
it.
Yeah, like you said, Dan, we've seen only sort of local draw names be put on the undercard, like Tom Breeze from Birmingham, Molly
Yep.
McCann from
And
Liverpool.
I know. One of our own, John Prentice, is a huge supporter from the Birmingham Fighter. So it's nice to see them boys on the card. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got, also Nathaniel Wood is confirmed he has got a fight in the card, but we've not found out who yet. There was speculation it would be Peter Yan, but he's been announced for UFC Prague. Do you think this is a problem the UFC have got? They don't know how to make the most out of sort of local talent and how to draw the biggest crowd to them.
Yeah, I think there is. I think the UFC have always struggled, especially with cards in London. They never seem to know how to put it together. They always seem underwhelming to me. Anyway, I wish they did. I wish they knew, but it just doesn't seem to be any. There doesn't seem to be any real want for them to push it to the fans over here. I don't see any real want to make the best card they can make.
And you would think, that's to your point, Bennett, you would think they would absolutely try their best to make that card, even if it's once a year or it's twice a year.
Oh, exactly.
They want to try and make sure they get the best fighters from the UK in general on that card. But no, it's the main event always seems to be mismatched every year. It's
Exactly.
They sort of throw something together, don't they?
100%.
I mean, it's definitely weird that they're not making the most out of this. They're at the O2 Arena, for Pete's sake, and this is a huge venue. It's bigger than some of the venues to go to in the States. Do you think they can continue to keep going like this before, or is it going to be a case of they need to learn the lesson at some point, otherwise there's a risk just putting off, fans from abroad, putting off the European market?
Well, I think people have already been put off, if I'm entirely honest. I mean, they need to do something. They do need to wise up at some point because you can see better fights in other places, and the UFC is not the only promotion out there, and it's not the only promotion UK fans will go for. So they need to do something. We need to be treated to a big card at some point.
Especially when you look to the Cage Warriors, who, when they do come to London, or they do, even Obama, when they had the, I believe it was the Reece McKee versus Terry Brazier. So it was a 2-weight world champion, Terry Brazier, going in that main event. They sort of pushed that massively in London. It was during one of the England World Cup games, actually. So they sort of balanced that.
The event they put on while the World Cup games, like they put it on just a few hours before the World Cup game or a few hours after or something.
Yeah.
I think it was the last summer event, actually, wasn't it?
Yeah, actually, yep. Yeah, it was. So it's sort of, they try and push it the card and try and fit around the fans, where the UFC sort of just bung it together and go, if you want to go, you want to go, you don't, type thing.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they underestimate their audience here somewhat.
Yeah, I think we've also got to mention that Bellator, who are UFC's main rivals still, they are doing absolute bits when it comes to local scenes and local fights. So Bellator Newcastle, they've already confirmed Aaron Chalmers got a fight on the card, Ryan Scopes on the card, Lee Chadwick, Fabian Edwards, they're on the card. Obviously, Dublin's got James Gallagher on the card as well. Are we at risk of seeing Bellator now become the biggest promotion for European fans to follow?
I would say so. I mean, the UFC are so far behind on understanding their market here. I think it's inevitable. Bellator are the best at it, and Cage Warriors are obviously making massive moves at the start of 2019. So, in my opinion, the UFC are falling behind.
Yeah, Bellator definitely have won that race. I think they're saying, I think it was 22 UK and Ireland talent to the rosters. Where the UFC just sort of handpicks now and again. So Bellator sort of had that vision. They want to go out and sign the best prospects over here. And I think it will show on the cards, especially in Dublin and in Newcastle, that are coming up soon.
Yeah. So moving on to my next story, lad. It's the beef between Khabib Nurmagomedov, Conor McGregor, and Nate Diaz again on Twitter. All three sort of going at each other, having a little bit bitching and moaning about each other. What do we think about all this, lads? Is it just becoming a bit embarrassing, or is it maybe getting you excited to see Diaz Khabib, a rematch between Khabib McGregor, or McGregor Diaz rematch? So what's that doing for you, lads?
I'm bored of all three of them. If I'm entirely honest.
Yeah,
it's annoying now. There's better things that fans could be focused on. I mean, if I had to pick, it would probably be McGregor Diaz 3. If I had to, I don't see how McGregor's gonna get anywhere near Khabib. I don't think it warrants a rematch. I think he just got smashed to pieces. I'm not particularly interested in any of them, if I'm honest. The only fight I want to see is Khabib and Tony.
yeah, absolutely agree with you, Ben. It just seems like McGregor, Habib, and Nate Diaz are all trying to keep themselves relevant because they know they're sort of out of the fight game, especially with McGregor and Habib's suspension that's coming up. Nate Diaz just he's been on a hiatus, so yeah, I don't really want to see Tony Ferguson, Habib. I don't want to see anything else. Even when the news stories come up on my Facebook or any other social media, I just sort of glaze over it now. I don't pay much attention to it.
Yeah. If they don't make Khabib Tony, it's a massive letdown.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you, lads. I think it's getting a bit dull, a bit boring. I think. Do you think we can get fans will stay watching that lightweight division like while Khabib Tony matches are put on? We've seen him try and book it 4 times now, and it's still not happened. Do you think fans are going to sort of just go off the idea? It becomes like a bit like Amir Khan and Kell Brook in the boxing world, where it's been talked about that much and then not happen. Fans just go off it.
Maybe people move on, don't they? I mean, there's other fights they could make. None are matched up quite as well, and I think Tony's had a really rough end of the stick for years, to be honest. And I think it's really worth. It's his shot, and if the UFC don't make that fight, it's a kick in the teeth.
It's one of those fights that hardcore fans like ourselves want to see, and every time it doesn't happen, you sort of think to yourself, well, why did Tony Ferguson fight after that? There's no point fighting for any other interim title again, nothing like that. He deserves his title shot, and that's the only fight that we want to see at the minute. Although I would love to see McGregor and Diaz, but personally, I wouldn't want to see McGregor back in the octagon. I personally don't want to see him back in there. 2 years without a win is massive in the sport. Momentum changes. I think he's got his focus on a lot of other things, but who knows at the end of the day? Money talks, doesn't it?
Yeah, indeed, yeah.
So, lads, let's move on to the next segment. So, UFC Brooklyn on Saturday, our Sunday, I suppose, in the morning. Henry Cejudo defended his flyweight world title against TJ Dillashaw. He's moving down from bantamweight. Come for his second belt. Sort of, what are we expecting from this fight, lads?
Well, I think it's going to be a straight win for TJ. If I'm honest, I can't see any other outcome. He's superior in my opinion in every aspect. If I'm honest, I mean, if you look past Henry's win over Mighty Mouse, there's not that much there, as far as I can see, especially not against the likes of TJ.
Yeah, I would agree. I can't see anything else but a TJ win. Although I know he's posted pictures on his social media recently of his weight cut. He looks absolutely shredded, I'll say that. But
he's looking good.
Yeah. But it's going to come down to when he's on that scale on Friday or Thursday, whenever they have it. Will he be able to replenish himself? Will he be still depleted at the start of the fight? Because you think if Cejudo wrestles him like he done the Matty Mouse for the full 5 rounds, TJ is going to be absolutely exhausted. He'll have no power to do much. But I just think that TJ moving away from Teen Alpha Male to with Dwayne Ludwig, it just completely transformed his striking. He's high level above so many fighters at the minute that I can't see anything but a victory.
No, yeah, I agree.
See myself, I see Cejudo winning it, and I see it going to a decision. I think it goes to the whole 5 rounds. For me, I think Dillashaw's weight cut is going to be too much for him. I think he's got to be, lose an extra £10 compared to what he usually does. I think that'll play into him, especially if Cejudo keeps taking him down with that, that strong wrestling game. He's an Olympic level wrestler. I think that's going to play into it. I think we're going to see Cejudo defend that title.
I think something's got to be there, but
I think it's a thin chance. I mean, I'd never rule it out, but I don't see it happening personally.
I've always got that question mark when a fighter jumps down a weight class. That look at Chris Cyborg trying to get to just 135. She got to 140, and that was it. She had nothing else to lose. She had no fat, no muscle. I think TJ is going to be the same. So yeah, it'd be a tricky one to call, but I'd still expect TJ to get the win. I think, yeah, I'm confident in that.
I've got to ask you guys. Obviously, this card's not a pay-per-view card either, and it's a chance for a double champion again. But it's not on pay-per-view. Do you think this is because UFC just need a big draw for the first card on ESPN, or is it because people are getting maybe a little bit tired of 2-8 fights? Because obviously the last event was UFC 232, and we saw a double champion fight there as well. Do you think this is a case of is sort of like having too much cake and you get a bit sick of it, or is it just because they need a big draw?
I think it's only because they need a big draw. The first fight on ESPN, I just think they want all eyes on it. I don't think the UFC are particularly bothered whether or not people are getting hacked off and not paying for pay-per-views. To be fair, I think it's only for their interests.
Yeah, well, when they put someone like Greg Hardy in the co-main event, you sort of think they want people to have an opinion and tune in because, they don't like this guy because this, because that. At the end of the day, they're going to watch it because of that storyline.
Yeah.
And they just want to try and stack the card, make sure that they please the ESPN hierarchy so they can go forward and keep the deal ticking. But I do think the title fights have sort of been, the huge title fights have been sort of burnt out recently. I think, what do you think about the flyweight division? Do you think it'll be the last ever fight?
If TJ wins, which I think he will, it will be the last flyweight fight, I would say.
Me personally, I think if Cejudo wins, they continue that division. To have Benavidez on the same card as well, fighting the flyweight, I think they may be putting a bit of hope into, well, Benavidez wins or the winner of that fight takes on Cejudo. If Cejudo wins, I think there's an insurance policy there for it. But
yeah, I would say
I definitely see your point. I think if TJ wins, that division's dead.
And I think that's probably what Dana White's hoping when he got rid of Mighty Mouse, the one championship. I don't think he's been ever keen on the flyweights. He says that they don't have enough punching power. There's not enough exciting fights. When you think of all Mighty Mouse's title defenses, he's been absolutely outstanding, and he hasn't been given credit. But no, I think it's just a matter of time for the flyweights.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it definitely seems like he got sort of killed off by Demetrius Johnson's dominance because he beat everyone else in that division. Even the guy who beat him for the title, he'd already beaten before, so it seems a bit like basically no one ever comes to that standard that he's already beat them all. Like he's the best flyweight in the world, and he's now gone. So it doesn't really say a lot about the flyweights that are still left.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I mean, no one's going to match him, are they? And I think that's a bit of a worry. I mean, I don't think you're going to find another flyweight that's going to achieve what Mighty Mouse achieved. So the whole division seems underwhelming to me because they're always going to be in Mighty Mouse's shadow.
I can understand though that UFC and obviously the new owners, WME, IMG, want a huge title fight because I looked into them and they're basically like an agent for sports athletes. That's what they basically are. So you can understand they only want big fights for the most amount of money. They don't really care about who's number one contender in this division, who's number one contender in that division. But yeah, I think even with Benavidez and Ortiz on the card, it's just sort of to give hope, as you were saying, Kieran, more than anything.
Yeah, so just going back to what you touched on a few minutes ago, Dan, we've seen Greg Hardy here, 3-0, making his sort of main card debut against Yancy Medeiros. Obviously, Hardy's got previous conviction for domestic violence, and he's on the same card as Rachel Ostovich, who is recently involved in a domestic assault case. Do you think that's just poor planning by the UFC to have those on the same card?
Well, poor choice as far as we're all concerned, but I think as far as Dana White and the UFC are concerned, it's fantastic planning. Like Dan said, it's a draw, regardless of how much people hate him. The UFC will dangle him as a puppet just to get eyes on the screen.
Yeah, it's a sort of not a nice way to do business, but at the end of the day, most people know who Greg Hardy was. And me being an NFL fan, I actually watched him playing for the Cowboys when he was suspended. He come back halfway through the season, and he just wasn't a likable guy. Unfortunate to say that. I don't know him as a person, but especially having domestic assault charges against you, and then being placed on a card with a woman who was allegedly assaulted by her husband or ex-husband by now. It's a bit. You don't look down on it well as a fight fan.
No, it does. For me, it seems a bit seedy to do it. It seems a bit, we want to, sort of support domestic violence, so people be a victim of domestic violence. But then again, we've got this guy who's, it could be a big thing, and he's got a domestic assault charge against him. But we don't really care because he could make money. Is that sort of maybe coming across to you?
Well, the UFC have always been about that, haven't they? It's all about the bottom line at the end of the day. I mean, although Greg Hardy is an awful person, obviously. I mean, Rachel has said that she doesn't care. She's not bothered by it. Everyone else is, obviously. But I mean, I think we shouldn't connect Rachel to another man who's got domestic abuse charges. I mean, let's just let her have her fight and not let her be overshadowed by Greg Hardy.
And that's a sad thing, because when we watch her fight, that's what you'll be hearing. Maybe the commentators, they might be allowed to talk about it, but fans on social media and that's going to be the topic of conversation. No matter, it could be the fight of the night, but still that's going to be the topic of conversation behind it.
Yeah, and it's got nothing to do with her.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it does seem a bit horrible now that probably is going to overshadow it. And there was also this thing about the people being very sexual towards her when the fight got announced. Paige Van Zandt, obviously, we know they are both sort of two women that a lot of male fans obviously like. But do you think we should just concentrate on the fight and not about what they look like or what their personal life? It should just be about the fighting, or do we think we still need to pay attention to their personal lives and their appearance?
I think people are always going to focus on their appearance. I mean, I think people do that with male fighters, not to the same extent, obviously, but again, it's an easy way of selling views. If you can put two good-looking women on a card, you're going to get people watching, aren't you? I mean, they're both great fighters, and perhaps the UFC should be more focused on that than trying to sell the image of the fight, I suppose. But again, it's all about numbers.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. It's especially Rachel Ostovich coming through the Ultimate Fighter. Maybe it's give her more attention, which maybe isn't a bad thing for her. But at the end of the day, you don't want her past to sort of rule her career. You want people to say, "Oh, that's that girl who her husband done this, that, or that to her." You want her to be known for her fighting ability. So I think it could have been completely avoided. They could have. I actually don't understand why Hardy is the co-main. You could have easily had the likes of Cerrone and Alexander Hernandez on the co-main. You could have had something like that up there, but it just seems like they want to bring maybe the casual fans' attention to stick with the card up until the co-main.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Yeah.
Yeah, it does seem a bit, a very smart business decision to do that. But guys, is there any sort of away from that topic? Is there any fights you're actually excited to see other than the main event on this card? It does seem a bit of a drab card, if I'm honest, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, I think you're right. I mean, there's nothing that jumps out at me, if I'm entirely honest, and I think that's probably why they've put Cowboy on the prelims. If I'm honest, I think they're trying to drag attention down the card, but there's nothing there that screams out to me.
Yeah, it's a type of card as a UK fan, you're sitting up to about 2:30, trying to get that 3 a.m. barrier to the main event, the main card. You sort of contemplate staying up or not. But I think one of the other fights that you mentioned on Ben was probably Cerrone and Alex Hernandez. Obviously Hernandez looks absolutely outstanding at lightweight. And he looks to add Cerrone, who seems to be a sort of like a gatekeeper. You have to get past him to get in the top 10 to the top 5 type thing.
Yeah.
So that's maybe one fight I'm looking forward to. Obviously the Joanne Calder, nice to see her back, just back on winning ways. Nice to see her back. Be nice to see Glover Teixeira coming back, maybe possibly getting himself back in the win column. But yeah, it's sort of a drab card.
Yeah,
What about yourself, Kieran?
I mean, as a British fan, Joanne Calderwood fight stands out for me. But other than Joanne Calderwood and Donald Cerrone in the main event, I honestly don't see any other fights that I'm particularly interested in. It might be, I'm sad to say it, lads, it might be a fight where I record it and watch the next morning.
Yeah, I think it might be. Yeah.
We'll try our best to stay up, lads. And if we get to that barrier, you hit about 3 a.m. and you can't sit up, you'll not think twice. You'll just go straight to bed and not bother.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those ones. Even though it's the first UFC fight of the year, fight card. It's still gonna be one of those ones you'll find hard to stay up for.
Yeah, I agree.
This week, make sure you tune in next week to next week's podcast where the boxing team will be taking over. Please make sure to like this video and hit that subscribe button below. And you can also follow us on our personal Twitter accounts, which I will link put in the description. So, lads, it's goodbye from me.
Nice one. Thank you. See you later.
Yes, see you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, cheers, lads.